Hey. Sorry, I'm just adding something to the description. Welcome. Hi. Oh my gosh, I tried to set this up earlier and it didn't work. So I'm trying now when it's working. So I can see everyone, I can see everyone's comments as well. Hello, welcome, hi. So yeah, I don't know what was going on with the internet earlier, but it just wasn't letting me do it. So I'm sorry for being late. I'm really sorry for being late. But let me just start by saying I'm very grateful that you guys have come to, you know, this thing is really transformational. Like for me, actually teaching you guys this stuff, it's actually really changed my life. And that's why I wanted to do it for everybody else. I just felt like it's not something I could keep to myself. So shadow work is important, ladies. It's really important when it comes to your spiritual journey and you finding yourself. There's a lot of things that you are going to uncover doing shadow work. A lot of the times, I mean, I did it by myself, but I did a lot of courses on shadow work as well. So it wasn't entirely, I wasn't entirely alone. I was kind of guided towards what I was doing. But I felt like at the end of it, you know, shadow work is never ending. It carries on through your spiritual life, but it is an important step to start there. It's very important. So I'm free for any questions. Readings, I also do readings. I'm seeing a lady asking if I, for shadow work readings. I do readings, I do tarot readings. I use that, actually I infuse that in the shadow work therapy sessions to help me to guide the person, whatever they're going through. I use that as well. So yeah, I'm more than happy to do that for you guys. But yes, I'm happy to take any questions, anything you guys want to ask. I'm going to give you a thorough background of me and my life and what I do and how long I've been doing it for. But apart from that, I will let you guys hit me up with the questions. So I basically grew up in a family that was very one-sided, was very Christian, very Catholic, strict Christian. And I will answer that. I promise you guys. So when I grew up, I was very religious at the time, and I had a lot of questions that weren't being answered. I also had a lot of gifts that weren't being utilized. So therefore, I basically started asking questions, and I was getting no answers whatsoever. As a young person, I was very confused. I ended up being a deacon in the church, and from the church, that's where I kind of got lost, and it didn't work for me. So I ended up researching myself and going into my ancestry to find out what was going on with my family. A lot of people are gifted in my family, so I was happy. Hey, Michelle. I was happy to kind of just follow through on what they did, their practices, and I stumbled upon shadow work. Now, oh, thank you so much. So basically, I'm going to answer the first question because I know you ladies are hitting me up with the questions already. So the first question I have here is, how does one start their shadow work? So shadow work, you can initiate that yourself. You don't have to necessarily have somebody guide you through it, although it's helpful if you are a little bit like me that kind of gets distracted by everything. So I would initiate journaling. That is a stage of shadow work. There are questions that you could ask yourself, hence why you kind of need a guide. I mean, I used a guide, but there were certain questions that I needed the answers to. A lot of things involved my childhood. So shadow work was something I really delved into and ended up stumbling upon a few books, reading a lot on it, and the questions that were always asked were to do with my childhood. So I had to go back to a time that I forgot. and kind of relive my childhood, and I started shadow work from there. So to answer your question, it's basically prompt questions that you ask yourself, as if you were asking, you know, as if you were another person asking you, right, about yourself. Now, a lot of us don't know a lot about ourselves. We actually hide behind the shadow. So it's funny, as we start to write things, we write things in the here and now and not back then. We are actually still carrying that shadow onto the present time that we are now. So I would say that everybody is still like their child, basically, that used to be back then. And you will uncover this as you do the shadow work. So you can start by journaling. You can start by, there is prompt questions. I mean, I post them most of the time just to give you guys a bit of a, you know, you have to help people along if they don't know where they're going or where to start. So I do use a few questions. Because I studied psychology and did a bachelor's degree on it, there's questions that you can ask when it comes to triggering certain emotional responses. So I do that. I basically ask the questions. So if any of you are having any trouble on getting started and actually sitting down with the journal and writing, there are questions that you can prompt. So I hope that's answered your question, Joy. Can I have a shadow work reading? Yes, you can. That is something I do in my shadow work therapy sessions. What is shadow work? So shadow work is basically yourself as a child, and you carry that luggage. If you think of yourself like a luggage that you carry throughout the years, that is you. It's part of you, right? It's part of you. It's part of you that you deny, that you hide, that you don't tell anybody. It also comes out in your emotions, so how you react to people, how you react to triggers, how you go on about life, but in the shadows, so to speak, so you don't show anyone. It's really deep. If you think of yourself as you're two people, you are your child self and you are you. This one is your shadow, and this is, well, part of your shadow, but also you. So I hope that makes sense. She was thank you so much. Is there a difference when they say inner childhood trauma and inner teenager drama? Is there a difference? Okay, so the difference is, if you went through a trauma as a child, so you went through something that changed you forever, I would say that that would come under childhood trauma. Also, the environment that you grew up in is very important when it comes to seeing out the difference between the two. Teenage drama. Now, what would we call teenage drama? I mean, you know, children sort of, they pipe up the age of 12, 13, 14, if that's what you mean. I would go with that being hormones. So obviously, you know, you go through your teenage years and you kind of get hormones, you get feelings. A lot of these preteen feelings they don't understand, so therefore they are going to act out. There is a way to tell the difference. There is a big difference. But I would say the people that have suffered a trauma in their childhood, whether they remember it or not, it's more likely to impact them as teenagers. So you kind of have to, I would say, it goes by case. It goes by case, basically. Some people you could really tell straight away that something really significant has happened, and others not so much. You can kind of just gauge and go, oh, this is hormonal, this is not to do with that. So yeah, I would say there is a very big difference. What way should I start shadow work? So I've posted a few in the group. If you guys haven't looked yet, go and have a look. Again, there's questions that you can ask yourself. There's a few things that you could do. But I must give you guys a disclaimer before we even start the shadow work. It is going to be emotional. It is going to be ugly. You are going to cry. Trust me on that. You're going to cry. You're going to uncover a lot of hurts, a lot of pain. that you've been carrying. And I would say with caution, if you are not ready when it comes to apologizing to self and acknowledging that actually none of this is your fault, you've just been through it, you're going through it, you're learning your lessons through your life. A lot of self-love comes into this shadow work. There has to be a lot of self-love. If there isn't, you could go into deep depression. It could really emotionally damage you, even cause some PTSD. So I would urge anybody going into shadow work, please, I beg you, do your self-healing first, your self-love. You know, you're going to do your practices, you're going to look after yourself, you're going to sleep well, you're going to eat well, you're going to look after your chakras, you're going to make sure that you are in the right state of mind to do this shadow work, because it could get ugly, and it could get real ugly. So it's important to do that. It is also important to do that with someone who's holding your hand, because you are going to have shitty days, okay? You're going to have days where you just don't want to crawl out of bed. That's when your other person comes in and says, is everything okay? You're going to need that reassurance. So some of us will do this with a mentor. We would do this with a good friend. They would know what we're going through or what we're doing. But please make sure you let people know what you're doing, just in case you fall into that depressive state. There is someone there to take care of you, and you of course need to take care of you. And in the state of when we do the self-love, we learn techniques to look after ourselves and what we can do to protect ourselves from feeling certain ways. So one thing I like to do is make sure that I'm aligned with my chakras. I make sure that I'm emotionally well to even start doing some shadow work. So I hope that answered for you. Does shadow work heal inner child trauma? Absolutely, it does. I'm a testament to that. It does. And the feeling, the release that you get from it is almost a bittersweet. It's beautiful, but the cry, the yell that I gave, that was the release, right? And for me, it changed my life. It changed my relationships with people. It gave me purpose. I knew what my purpose was. I rediscovered it during shadow work. This is why I'm saying it's so important for you guys to do it. I'm telling you, because you actually rediscover what you were supposed to do, what the assignment was when you came here. You understand, on your spiritual journey. So it is, you know, amazing. It is an amazing thing. What I do is I incorporate shadow work, and I also use a lot of things that I've learned through psychology, and I try my hardest to make sure that the transition is easy, or easier, I would say, as it would be without a person or someone there to sort of hold your hand and guide you through it. It is easier, and there is something so relaxing about having somebody else to talk to, because sometimes people just want to talk. So talking therapy is basically one of the methods that I use as well. But yes, absolutely, it does resolve inner child drama. Will this life be saved? Yes, it will. I will save it. I'm having trouble journaling. So Tatisha, I hope I've said your name right. So I would say this to you. If you look up the prompt posts that I've done, that is a starting point. It's only a starting point for you. It's things that I've learned over the years. I'm actually handing it over to you guys because it's really helped me. It really helps also to get yourself organized. Maybe get a few journals. Don't just use one. So use, you know, one for journaling, one for shadow work, another one for expressing yourself. So I did painting. I did some therapy painting. So I was basically using the paintbrush to paint out my emotions. And it was, you know, your painting is not going to look perfect, okay? You're not Picasso out here, but, you know, it is basically a release of the emotion. So however you can do that, would be great. A starting point is journaling, but you could use music, you could use dancing, you can use painting, you can use talking. There's ways to do it, right? It's wherever you feel comfortable. I had this one client that came to me and wanted to do shadow work, but she wanted to get a reading before the shadow work. And I said to her, well, how is your state of mind? Because if you're upset, angry, you know, you need to go and you need to go in the corner somewhere, sort that out, and then come back, because I'm going to pick up on that energy, right? So she came back, and her energy, she was overwhelmed. She was really overwhelmed, a lot of anxiety. And I thought, okay, I can see that straight away. So I said, you know what, we're going to stop and we're going to do some painting. That's what we're going to do. And that's the type of vibe that you guys will be getting from me. When it comes to doing something, you're not alone. You're never alone doing this, okay? So just follow the prompts. If it doesn't work for you, there's other ways to do this as well, if you find it really difficult. For those that don't really write and are not really comfortable with writing, painting, dancing, right? Singing, music is a great healer also. So it's a great way to express yourself as well. So Tatisha, I hope that's helped. Hi guys, hi. Where can I start with healing my religious trauma? Okay, so that's part of your shadow work. Fear of going to hell is still a major block. Okay, I'm the perfect person to answer that question because I used to be in the church. So girl, Naomi, let me tell you something, okay? I was a whole deacon in the church, okay? I grew up from 12 years old in the church until I was about maybe 16, 17, right? Let me tell you something. The things that we get taught in church, right, are fear-based, okay? They are fear-based. I've seen it forefrontally. I've heard the pastors that were preaching, this is what they wanted us to do, right? They wanted us, oh, if they're not, you know, for example, if I was to give you an example, if they were not giving tithe, they told us to scare them into giving tithe. Oh, okay, so you're not giving tithe, you're not going to heaven, right? So the same tactics that they used on us in the teachings, in the church, through family, we have to unlearn everything that we've learned. Unlearn it. Here's the thing. We can overcome fear ourselves, right? And shadow work is very good, right? Because it identifies your fears. It will identify exactly what you're scared of, the things that you've been hiding, the things that you don't want to talk about, right? Church teaches a certain way. Spirituality teaches another way. So it's unlearning what we've been given in church, that we understood that was everything to us, and unpacking every single piece, everything that we've been taught, right? I'm not going to sit here and say everything is a lie, but it has been twisted so much that we are walking around based on fear. Hell is not knowing what your purpose is. That's hell. That's being confused is hell. Not understanding is hell. Being locked in trauma is hell. That's your personal hell. So you unlock that through shadow work. You can definitely do this. I did this. So don't be afraid to go deep into it. Don't be afraid of what's going to come out also. Understand it, digest it, release it. Don't hold it in. The guilt, the shame, that's what you're holding. You're holding that in because you're thinking, someone's going to judge me. You see, when it comes to shadow work, when you are experiencing judgment, that's a reflection of yourself. You are actually projecting that. So that is you, you know, in the nicest, kindest possible way that I can explain it to you. It comes from you. So we together can approach that situation and go, okay, I see. Because if you will notice, Naomi, when you do your shadow work, you come to realize, how do you judge people? Is it the same way? Are you as judgmental? You will find that you are. So it's just working through that process. I hope that's helped you. I see people liking it, so that might have been a message for somebody else too. But yes, I hope that's helped, Naomi. Ashima. When doing shadow work, are we prompted to confront anyone who contributes to the trauma, or is it working solely with yourself? So, you can, if you want. It is up to you. It is up to your discretion. However, most cases you don't want to, right? Let's be real. Most cases we don't want to. So we can do that ourselves by writing a letter to the person that has harmed us or caused us pain. We can also write a letter to our child self to apologize, to say it's not your fault. You know, you have to embrace that moment and feel the feelings that you felt. You have to go back. It's almost like a regression. You have to be there as a child again, right? Feel the emotions that you're feeling. Understand the emotions you're feeling. Write them down. Write the letter to the person. Take 5 minutes. If it becomes overwhelming, right? Breathe. It's important to breathe. And that's something else I'm going to be teaching you guys. Breath work is important when it comes to dealing with these things because it will calm you down. Breath work is something what I would like to call a release. For those that don't know, when you are inflicted by trauma, what you do is when you are in fear, your body holds the breath. It doesn't breathe. What you're doing is you're carrying that for years. And then finally, you do breath work and you release. And it's almost like a yell of a mother that's lost a child. It's the same shriek. I don't know if any of you have heard a shriek when someone dies, right? The feeling of that loved one that gets left behind. Same thing. You release it because it's been in you all of that time. And I think there is something very beautiful and rewarding about that you will find. You're going to find it. But that's something that I can also work with you guys on. So yes, to answer your question, you can write them a letter. Put it in a letter. Write it to them, address it to them. Be as angry as you want to be. Cry, scream, yell, swear. Do what you need to do on that piece of paper. Acknowledge the feelings you're having and release them through breath work. Okay. I hope that's answered your question. So, yes, absolutely. Shadow work is important. I've learned this over the years. Yes, absolutely. So, how did you deconstruct the religion that you were conditioned to know? So, to be honest, I went on my own journey of research. I started with my ancestors. I started going back to where I was born, my mother, her mother, so on and so forth, right? I went back to what my grandma and my great-grandma were practicing, right? I understood that their practice was very different, right? For most of us, you know, we've had our slave, you know, family for generations now. So for some of us, we can go back and trace a lot of that. For example, a lot of us have white names. The names that we hold, our surnames, they are our slave masters' names. So you could look for the lineage. Go back, do your research. See what the black side of your family was practicing before Christianity. Before Christianity. Now, there's people that could be linked to Egypt, what they were practicing. There's people that could be linked to many other religions. Buddhism, Indian, you've got the Buddhists, you've got the Hinduists, there's so many. There is literally, girl, let me tell you something, right? Let me tell you something. I've sat here and read this, right? I've read this. I've had to go to a library and pick this up, right? Because I wanted to know every single religion in this world. Every single religion. I sat there and read, right? There's, girl, let me tell you something. There's loads, okay? There's like, it's thick, okay? There's loads. But I realized one common thing. It was all the same, but different, if that makes sense. They were all following ancient scriptures, right? The ones that were not westernized. A lot of ancient stuff. So if we want to go revert back, right, to where what our ancestors practiced, you will find your answer there. You will get there and be like, oh, I see. My family didn't practice this. I should be practicing this, right? And for me, it was tribal. It was very much tribal before the colonizers, as they say, came in and took over and, you know, obviously got rid of our relics and the things that we were practicing. So I hope that's answered your question. Hi, Ornell. Right, so I'm just going through the questions, guys, so just bear with me again. Oh, that's so lovely. I'm just reading through. Okay. Yes, Yana. Absolutely. I agree with you. It is. It's very hard. Very hard, but you'll get there. I got there. You'll get there. Trust me on that. Been baptized twice because the first time didn't work, apparently. But, you know, I still come out of there, girl. I still come out of it. I'm having issues with visualization during meditation and just in general. Why is that and how can I resolve this? So, Lashaya, let's talk about the noise that you hear in your head, right? What is that noise? When you are in meditation, right? Because here's the thing. It takes practice. It's like a muscle, right? You're working your muscle. So each time you want to start small. So you want to start maybe with a minute, right? Put time on your phone, a minute. Try to be still for a minute. If that doesn't work, pause, take another day, do it again. It's building that muscle, okay? There could also be a lot of distractions. When I was first trying to meditate, I used earplugs, and I put the earplugs in because I didn't want to hear anything. I didn't want to hear music. I didn't want to hear anything. I just wanted to just zone out. And all I could hear was a ringing, very small ringing in my ear, right? So I thought, okay, let me follow that ringing. And I sat there with the ringing in my ear and started to kind of just vibes to it. It was kind of like, oh, okay, this is hypnotic. Try to do something like that maybe every other night, I would say. Maybe buy some earplugs, put them in, and see how you feel when you sleep, right? Because sometimes it could just be, you know, the noise from upstairs, or, you know, the kids running around, and you just can't sit still, right? Also, another thing I would say, focus on a number when it comes to visualizations. So use any number, 1 to 10, whatever number you want to use, and just visualize that in your head, right? You can visualize and think about this number. You can think of this number in a color. You can think of this number spinning, or, you know, however you want to visualize it, and just concentrate your mind to it. It's not easy, but it takes practice, okay? So don't feel discouraged because you're not getting it. A lot of us didn't get it the first time, or the second, or the third. It takes practice. It's like a muscle. I hope that's answered your question, Lashaya. And there is nothing wrong with you, because if there was, girl, there'll be something wrong with us too. So there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that we have to find a way to quiet down, you know, our minds. So yes. So inner child, yes. Okay, let me just have a look. How do you know once your shadow work has been completed? So Jay, shadow work is ongoing, so it's never completed, because you are going to experience life. So life, if you think of it as like a lesson, you're in class, okay? Welcome to your class. This class is ongoing till the day you leave this realm. Okay, so for every day you are learning. The minute you step out of your door, you're using shadow work, because you're going to use the methods of understanding your emotions and what triggers you to react in a more positive way and vibrate better, if that makes sense, right? So for example, let me give you an example, right? On Facebook, ladies, you know we like to go back to back from time to time, right? You know, I don't know what's going on with the planets, but you know, sometimes some people just really trigger us, right? So in that situation right there, you would be using shadow work, right? What you've learned that triggers you, right? For you to go, okay, so usually I would act like this. Exactly the stank face I just make. But because you now understand where it comes from, where that anger comes from, where that resentment comes from, you're now control. Let me control myself. Hold on. Before I react, let me just pause for a second, because this has got to do with my shadow work. I've learned too much. You know what I do, ladies? I'm like, I've come too far to argue with anyone, right? I've done so much work. I've cried tears. I've sweated blood. Like, you know what I'm saying? You've cried. You've sweated. You've got angry. You've wrote down in your book. You've thrown your book on the. You've done all of this stuff only to argue with regular Sasha on the internet that wants to be a keyboard warrior. Okay? So when it comes to that, it's never completed. Never completed. So Jay, hope that answers your question. Sorry, I wasn't trying to be long about it, but you know, it's ongoing every day. Every day, my friend, when you go to work, when you go to school, when you go and meet your friends, when you in relationships, every day until the day you're gone. Okay? So Kiona, I hope I'm saying your name right. Sorry, I'm not trying to butcher your name. What kind of questions do you ask yourself during shadow work to help yourself heal? So again, prompted questions. I've posted some. However, it depends what type of healing you're looking after. So when I made that post, guys, about the archetypes, there were a lot of engagement. So a lot of you identified with the archetypes. A lot of you were like, oh my God, this is me, right? So your archetype is actually your shadow, it's part of your shadow. It is also parts of one of your parents. You're gonna find that if you are mixed with more than one archetype, 9 times out of 10, those are your siblings, your mom and dad, your grandma, whoever you spent time with. You've actually accumulated their shadow too. Hence, when we say generational curse, ladies, that's what we mean. It's literally something that you've taken upon yourselves, right? And you've taken it with you wherever you go, and it affects you emotionally. So I would say, when healing, ask the questions to the people that have hurt you the most, the people that have triggered you. So for example, if you were to use your mum or your mother, as you guys would say, so your mother, if your mother and you don't get on, you would ask the first question, why are you doing this to me? You would address that person directly, right? Why? And you would just feel yourself kind of answer the question, you know, because you know why. You know why. The emotion is there. The anger is there. The resentment is still there, right? You're going to answer that. Only you know why you feel a certain way towards people, right? In doing that process, you are going to help yourself heal of anything that's happened to you while you were a child. Because that's where it comes back to, guys. It comes back to childhood. I'm talking to all of you as adults, right? But really and truly, you're all children, really, how I see it. I'm a child, you guys are children. How we react to everything, we are reacting as children, right? So we have to learn. And at times, as sad as this sounds, we have to reparent ourselves, which some of us are going to find so emotional because maybe some of us have lost a parent, or, you know, some of us don't have our parents around. But it's very important to reparent yourself, and you are going to start to reparent yourself when you start the healing process. So Kiona, I hope that's answered the question for you. Use the prompts. I've made a lot of posts. do go and look on my posts if you are stuck and you're sort of struggling to come up with the questions. Those are just basically a few examples that you could use. Michelle, you need that book. Yes, ma'am, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, absolutely. Yana, it's very important to let your inner child express. Okay, so expressive, guys. Remember, express. Be in that moment. Okay, express yourself. Understand it, why you are acting like this, and release. Do not hold on to that, because that becomes another shadow, right? So we have to get into the practice of, okay, experience, okay, understanding, release, right? My family practice hoodoo, and I have no clue until I was searching. You see? Go back to those teachings. Go back to whatever they were doing, because let me tell you, baby, you are going to learn exactly the practices that they were doing, and you're going to find yourself at home doing those things, because it's almost like your ancestors will come through as well and enforce that. I know mine did. Mine absolutely did. And it was just amazing, because I was like, now I know who I got the gift from. Now I get it. Now I know what I'm supposed to be doing, right? Who is the author of the text? Which text, Lashaya? Lashaya, come back and ask me that question again, honey. Of the text or the book? You mean the book? Let me grab the book. Hold on now. If that's what you mean. If you mean the book, Christopher Partridge. And this is his 4th edition. So Christopher Partridge. Lord God. I was going to spell it out for you, but you know, I can, obviously you can always message me if you need the name of the book and the author, and I will message you back. Do you think it's possible to instinctively know? No. What are we talking about? Instinctively know as in gifts, or instinctively know? Veda, if you get back to me on that question, honey, please come back to me, because I want to know what you mean. I took a class about religion and I felt the same way. Yes, honey, because this is an institution. Lashaya, it's an institution. So girl, the stuff that, let me tell you the stuff. I had to sit there, sunglasses on, in the corner, in the dark, let me tell you, with a big spliff. Back then I used to smoke, so I was like, really, this is what we're doing? This is what we're doing to people? Does alchemy have a place in shadow work? So, once you discover what your purpose is, yes, because you are now working with your soul purpose, right? You're now going to find yourself. You're going to find your purpose again. You're going to find what it is that you're here to do on this earth. So you might find that you are an elemental that works with alchemy. And if you're more drawn towards that, most likely you'll be using that during your shadow work also. So when I say this, I mean in your rituals that you'll be doing to release. Because what I like to do, I like to release full moons now. I don't have to do it as often. Before I used to do it weekly, just because it was overwhelming for me. I used to deal with a lot of people. So work affected me really badly, like when I was working a 9 to 5. So I would have to do it weekly. Also, I would have to do it weekly because I was doing readings for people. I'd find myself very heavy. So depending on the type of work that you do and what you want to become, and obviously if alchemy is already kind of calling your name and pulling your strings a little bit, girl, you'll be using that in shadow work too. When you do your rituals, you know, you pop in the bath, you do your elements, you put in your crystals, you do, you know, when you get too deep into it, it's almost like it all comes together very nicely. And understanding as well that your purpose is part of what you're supposed to be practicing anyway, right? When it comes to your spiritual journey, some of us are supposed to be doing magic. Some of us are only supposed to be doing readings, some guiding, there is space for everybody in this. There is space for everyone. So with that being said, absolutely. I'm glad that can help you, Lashaya. Dealing with this, yeah. Oh, about, okay, so about what your ancestors practice, Veda. Thank you so much for coming back to me. Thank you. So knowing, some of us, I mean, if you are, I mean, I don't like to use the word prophet because that's been rinsed out in church so much. So if you have dreams, for example, of your ancestors, they show you what your gifts are. A lot of the times you feel what your gifts are. For me, it was my hands. I knew I had to work with my hands. My hands were always, they had to be doing something. I always felt heat in my hands. So I always kind of knew it was going to be to do with my hands. So when I started doing the tarot reading, right, I asked my mother in my research, you know, what did grandma do? Because I didn't actually meet my grandma. My grandma died before I met her. The other grandma I met, but on my mother's side, she had actually passed on before I was born. So it was insane for me. My mother straight told me, she goes, she was the seer in the village. And I said, the seer, what's that? You know, there's me playing dumb, like, what's this? And she's like an oracle. Like, she would read bones and she'd read tea leaves and she just knew. Her intuition was just on point. So going by that, I understood that my grandma was gifted. And on the other side, I had my tribal grandma who was born there, still there. She's still there. You know, she refuses to come out of that mud hut. She won't come out at all. She still practices the same stuff. So with her now, she's still got her spirituality very much intact. And yes, it is possible to know. Sometimes they come to you in your dreams, or you just know instinctively. You're born with that kind of knowing. Do you understand, if that makes sense, Veda? Mikey, was there a question? Oh, okay, she's repeated it. There you go. So I hope that's helped. I would post, if you guys inbox me, if you want to know the author of the book, I'll let you guys know. Representing myself and doing correctly, it's hard. Yes, absolutely. So let me see, I have to go, but I hope I come back to this live. Thank you so much. You're more than welcome, Naomi. You're more than welcome. So yes, I've reached the very end of the questions. Is there any more questions that you guys have? If you don't have any more questions, I need to let you guys know that I will be doing something really special. For this group, I've been working with Michelle. I've been asking Michelle what she wants, what is the vision for the group, and how she wants me to kind of incorporate what I know to help. I've really have sat there and racked my brain about this because I want to give more than I can take, right? That's always been the way when it comes to helping people for me. I actually get I get more happiness from it than exchanging money, if that makes sense. So going forward, I am going to be doing a few courses on shadow work, but I understand that the kind of time that we're living in. So let's please just give me some time, and I'm going to come up with a course, and I will let you guys know as soon as possible what I'm doing. For those that need it, I will put it out there and you guys can reach out to me. How long have I been doing me personally, Michelle? So I've been doing shadow work from the age, I would say, just after I had my first child. She was, so she's now 12 years, I would say, is what I've been doing shadow work for. When I first started, it was extremely hard because you have a screaming baby next to you. But it prompted me to do it. I don't mind sharing with you guys, actually, as I'm here and I'm present in the moment. Spirit is literally reaching out to us like, no, you need to share your story. So I will share it with you guys. But for the other question, I can't remember much from my childhood. That's fine. You'll remember when you do the shadow work, Lashaya. Trust me, you'll remember it. And what made me get into psychology, Michelle? Let me give you the lowdown, right? So what prompted me to do the shadow work? I became a mother, and I wanted to make sure that my child understood who I was, right? Also, I had a lot of anger and resentment towards my mum, that I wanted to work on. Obviously, becoming a mother myself, I now understood a lot of the struggles that mothers go through. So I didn't want to repeat the pattern. Basically, I wanted to break the generational curse. So I started on that journey very young, when I was about 21. I'm now 33, and I feel like it's never ending, right? Because stuff happens daily, do you know what I'm saying? But I feel like I've done a lot of work to not revert back to the older me, if that makes sense. So much work has been done that I know that not only can I teach other people this stuff, because it's made a huge change in my life and my children's lives. It's changed everything, my purpose. I've been able to just shine almost, you feel lighter, because you kind of just lift yourself of all this guilt, this shame, this fear, this, down talking to yourself, self-sabotage, all of those kind of things. When you realize why you're doing it, you kind of stop doing them, because you realize why. When it comes to has shadow work ever led you to receiving messages? Absolutely. Absolutely. Get played with them all the time. It just comes in, sometimes very rudely, mind you. Very rudely. You could be I've got a partner, so you could be sleeping with your partner and you'd have a crazy dream and you wake up crying, right? That's happened to me a couple of times, where I've cried out of the sleep, and my partner's obviously like, what's going on? And I'm like, the message was so vivid, to work on myself, that it pushed me emotionally to do it. So when I woke up, I was still, streaming tears, and I'm wondering like, but I thought I'd worked on this. Obviously not. But when it comes to my story, guys, I was in a very weird space, right? I needed to understand myself more so I could teach my children. And then in 2013, my life completely changed, right? And when I say completely changed, it turned upside down. Now, I'm going to give you the lowdown of what happened. If some of you identify, wonderful. If some of you don't, I hope you never have to feel this ever in your life. But this was the point that my spiritual journey took off, right? 2013, I had my second child. Before I had her, I had a lot of issues during my pregnancy. I was having a lot of palpitations, didn't know what was happening, obviously had the baby. And my baby, she was born healthy, no issues with her. But soon after, 6 weeks had passed, the father of my children passed away. He died because he had a seizure, because he was epileptic. So there I was, single parent, 2 children, 1 newborn, the other one was 3 years old, right? And I'm there trying to figure out myself. And I'm there I didn't know how to be. But knowing the work that I was doing with the shadow work, right? I had to kind of just go with the emotions that I was feeling, but be mindful of the emotions, awareness. It created a lot of awareness in me. And also, I wasn't as fearful of death by the time I did that. Because by the time my partner had passed, it was like everything that I've learned from an institution had completely gone. I had to relearn, rewire everything. So I wasn't in a fearful state. It then catapulted me into the next level in my spiritual journey. So then that happened, right? So you can imagine raising 2 children by myself, trying to find myself, trying to do whatever I could to help myself heal. I had to sit there and heal. I had to do some self-love, some soul searching, ladies, let me tell you, I went through it. And when it got to the last kind of stage, when I basically decided to do psychology, which was 3 years ago, at the point of something else happening. Every time something happens in my life, I have this ability to change it and make it from something that could be potentially really bad, change it around. So I did that with his death. And psychology, well, my child, the youngest, she has what we call dyspraxia. She's been formally diagnosed with it. So I took that and I said, right, I want to understand my child inside and out. And I also want to help other people that may not understand what is happening to their children. I also knew that my child was very much gifted. So as much as they tried to push it on me like autistic or autism, I said, I refuse to believe that my child is not gifted, because the stuff that she tells me is very much sounding like what I used to sound like as a child. So I was like, forget the labels, let me learn psychology, right? I studied. I studied hard, guys, with kids going to school. I opened a business, right? So this was 3 years ago. I opened my business. I left my job at the bank, which was comfortable, by the way. Nice numbers I was doing. I could have stayed in that job, but it wasn't my purpose. It never felt like my purpose. It was a very shady place. It was a place of anger, resentment. Working in a bank is not nice. So basically, I decided to do what was best for me and my children and leave and start my business on spirituality. And I started doing tarot readings. That was my starting point. When I started to do tarot readings, I got all these clients that would come to me and ask me, Cece, are you going to do therapy? Are you going to help? Because you're so good with the cards, but we need a therapist. We need a spiritual therapist, because when I go to my therapist, she doesn't understand me. Whereas when I sit here with you, it's like sitting with a friend. So I decided, hold on a minute now. This is me. This is me. I've always wanted to help other people. So in doing that, I'd realized what my purpose was. Number one, I need to be a good mother. And in order to find out what's going on with my kids, I'm going to study psychology, right? So I did a module on child psychology. I also did a module on just psychology itself, right, of the human mind. So I found a lot of things out to do with science, how our brain works, how we work, what impacts our emotions, where, everything about it, guys. Literally 3 years. I just graduated last month. I literally just graduated, and it was the most amazing feeling, because it was like, now I can do my work, because I didn't feel like I could without my certificate. To me, my certificate was the accomplishment of 3 years of hard work. I've finally been validated for this, right? This now feels like the next chapter of my life, which is to help. And I'm so glad that Michelle has reached out to me, because she reached out to me just in time where I was going to start to do something like this, but by myself. I obviously have been in the group for a while, so I've been watching a lot of people that have needed help. But to me, I'm never the one to reach out to anybody. Thank you, guys. Oh, thank you. I am reading the comments as they're going. Thank you. So this achievement was never for me. It was for my purpose, because I feel like now I can do what I was supposed to do. In essence, I see myself as helping people. That is my job. I'm here to help everybody transcend on their spiritual journey wherever they need help. I will take them there if they allow me to. And obviously, I'm very grateful for the opportunity, Michelle. So thank you so much. I'm very grateful. But to any of you that have been through trials, tribulations, anything that's going on in your life, girls, let me tell you something, right? Nothing will defeat you. Nothing. Let me tell you, nothing will defeat you. Because once you get over that fear, you're invincible, literally. Invincible. Things will come. Things will happen, trust me. Trust me on that. But you are invincible. Why? Because when you're doing your shadow work, you become aware. When you become aware, when you're doing the awareness, right? You become aware. Then you find yourself, right? You find you. And now you find what you're supposed to do on this earth, which for some of us, help. Others, teach. Whatever your purpose is in this life, you will find it through shadow work. So basically, I thought I'd wrap that up in a nice little bow for you. But I thought I would share because Spirit was it was calling to me to share. Just share this because it might touch somebody. And if I can help one soul in this group, if I can help one person, just one, I'm happy. I'm really happy. So going forward, right, I vow to help you guys, right? If you guys are struggling, I'm going to help. I don't want to see any more posts. I'm suffering with anxiety. It's done, guys. It's done. It's finished. It's finished. It's done. I don't want to hear I'm depressed. It's done. Depressed where, sis? Depressed where? You are going to have people, not only me, there's other ladies in this group that are going to help you. You're going to get a lot of help. So do not feel defeated for those that want it. And I must add something else into this because I think it makes a lot of sense because Michelle and I have discussed this. When it comes to us charging you guys for anything that we do, any of us ladies, right? Let's make sure everybody knows what this is, right? It is not because we are greedy or we want money. Yes, we do have bills to pay. Yes, we exchange energy with you guys. Yes, we spend time, right? But we need to know that you are serious about your journey. There is a lot of people here, right? Let's be real. A lot of people here that are not serious about their journey. So the only reason that we charge a fee as workers is because we want to know that the time that we are putting in is really being rectified. You know, it's two-way street, guys. It's two-way street. It's nothing about greed. Okay, let's make that clear. Me, I would do it for free if I could. I'm telling you. And there's times that I put out there stuff for free because I want to. Because I feel that sometimes when I charge, it doesn't give me that feeling. So I'm like, okay, you know what I could do here? Let me not charge. And I do this with the group. The information that you have there is for free. For free, guys. I'm not charging anybody for that, right? But when you want to get serious now, and you want me to have one-to-one time with you, which I don't mind, take time out of my day to give you that one-on-one special time, yes, there's going to be an exchange. Okay, so that's that for me to explain to you guys. It's never about greed. Nobody does this for greed. I don't even get off on that. I get off on doing things for free, actually. But we have to be mindful of numbers. We have to be mindful of people that just take and don't give back. So for those reasons, that's why we do it. For those that have just joined in, do we have any questions when it comes to shadow work? Because I do see a couple of you. Hi, Asia. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you for so long. So yeah, for those of you that have come in and might have missed the first bit, feel free to ask me a question. I'm still going to be here for another half an hour and then I can wrap it up. With a few things. There are a few things that I wanted to add for those that are still watching and have got your journals, because I know I told you guys to bring your journals, right? I did tell you guys to bring your journals. So there's a few things that I'm actually going to say to you guys and prompt you guys towards the next little series session post that I'm going to do. Yes, it is recorded. Yes, so you can always catch up with it after we're done here. But let me have a look at my questions now and see if there's any more questions. Absolutely, Asia. Mindful, very mindful. Where do you start? Let me tell you something, sis. Okay, you start where you are. How about starting where you are right now? Okay, you are at this point where you want to do something beautiful. You want to change your life. Okay, there is purpose, there is meaning. Something is calling to you, right? We start with prompts. I've said this to the ladies before, but obviously if you've just joined, please have a look at the posts that I've put on there. They're just a few examples basically that I've used because I've studied on it that can help you along with your shadow work. Have different journals for everything that you do. A journal for just writing, one for shadow work, and one for releasing your emotions. You can grab paint, you can sing, you can dance, Start where you are. That all of that is a process, right? You could also start with aligning your chakras as well and understanding the emotions behind each chakra. That can also be a starting point. We have another lady in the group that is very kindly posting a lot of stuff on chakras as well. So if you also have a look at what she's posting, I did a few of those posts, but I thought, you know what, I'll just hand the chakras to her and I'll deal with the shadow work side, because it's important. This to me is important because it changed my life. So yes, prompt questions, okay? Give us another example how shadow work has helped me. So relationships. Pretty much every single relationship I've had to use or incorporate or integrate my shadow into it. When I say integrate, it's like the part of you that you know is your shadow. You kind of have to put that together with you and just accept it. It's basically part of you. So for me, I was very petty. I say very, I probably still am. It's in there somewhere. But I've just accepted it and why I am petty. So, you know, in terms of friendships, sometimes, you know, friendships can break apart. People can become very petty with each other. And I know I had that fire up in me, right? But I also understood that that fire in me wasn't directly from the person. It was all up in me with the resentment and the anger towards the whatever situations we've been in, right? So you're going to act up all gangster, right? Because you're going to be like, I'm mad, you know, because this is an emotion. And it's learning to control those emotions. It's not, I'm not saying to you guys, don't feel anything. No, you're supposed to feel. Trust me, this is what you're here for. You've been brought here to feel things, right? This is what we're supposed to be doing. But we control. We all know when something is low vibrational. We know exactly how to get low vibrational. Well, as they used to say, when we go down, we go to hell. Okay? When people get down, you want to get down? Let's go to hell. Right? You know exactly what is low vibrational. What is low vibrational, guys? Guilt, shame, insecurity, anger, rage, resentment, right? Envy. That one. See that one? I had to face that. Toe to toe. Envy, really? I'm not envious. I don't envy nobody. Girl, stop. Let me tell you something, yeah? The day that I said to myself, I ain't jealous of nobody. Mercury retrograde had other plans for me. Mercury retrograde was like, really, bitch? Like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And it showed me face to face. So if you think of shadow work as a mirror, when you are engaging in an argument with your friend, with your spouse, with your mum, that is a mirror reflection of what you feel is what is going to shock you. You're going to find that out. It's you. It's not them. It's you. Your feelings. So with this, we learn to control your feelings, right? I'm not saying be a robot. Accept your feelings. Okay, see it for what it is. Okay, I'm angry. This is why I'm angry. Because part of my shadow won't accept, you know, that I'm angry right now and I'm just going to sit here and be petty about it. No, let's address the anger. So then you sit there and you journal your anger now. You're angry, you're writing your anger. You understand it. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I get it. Because something in my childhood actually triggered me. Your situations that you're living through right now, guys, are exactly the same situations you've been living through all your life. Is what you're going to find. And you need to break out of that cycle. How you break out of that cycle? You control the emotions. I literally live by this chart. I've got this chart in front of me, literally. I live by it. It is a vibrational chart. It literally, let me show you guys. It shows every emotion that you have, right? Every single one. I sit here daily, analyze, reflect. Yes, we're not going to always have time every day. But I'm telling you something. You've got 5 minutes, yeah? You've got 5 minutes to turn on the TV. Got 5 minutes to run downstairs. You got 5 minutes to do the wash up. You got 5 minutes. Trust me, 5 minutes. That's all it takes. Analyze your feeling. Accept your feeling. Acknowledge your feeling. Release your feeling, please. So Michelle, I thought that broke it down a little bit. Do you have a booking site for services? Absolutely, I do. It should be in here, but if it's not, I can post it up. So give me a moment while I do that. I'm just going to post it in here. I do have a site. It's nice that you've asked, because I think I don't want to babble on too much and then forget to plug in my site. Michelle, if you don't mind. So I'm going to plug that in. I don't know if I can I pin it? I don't know if I can pin it. I should be able to pin it, right? For those of you that that will miss it. Oh yes, I can pin comment. Okay, there you go. It should be pinned. And if it's not, guys, let me know, please. So let me roll back to where I was. Do you approach shadow work the same for children? No, there's different levels, because, okay, so the reason we do that is because their understanding and their processing is very different. So an adolescent child would have a more of a creative mind, whereas teenager obviously would have an active mind, and an adult, we kind of close off. I've noticed with a lot of my clients, we kind of are very reserved at first. We're like, I don't know, I'm skeptical, I don't know if this is going to work. But I use different approaches with children, with adults, even with the elderly. Sometimes, you know, someone's mama might come through or grandma might come through and be like, I want to do some shadow work. It's like, okay then. So it's different methods for each age group, just because of the level of their understanding. I hope that answered your question. How can shadow work help in a work or career? That's a good question, Sonia. So when it comes to work, you deal with a lot of people, right? Or you may, if you work from home, you're isolating yourself, you work by yourself, but you're still nevertheless going to deal with people daily, you know, not just in career, but also daily in life. So think of it this way. It is a guide how you handle your emotions. I think shadow work shouldn't have even been called shadow work. It should have been called, you know, handling a guide to handling emotions and cleaning up your dirty laundry, basically, because of all the stuff that we accumulate through life, right? So career-wise, it helps you find your purpose, because you create an awareness of what you are feeling and experiencing, and experienced everything that's made you today, right? And then you discover yourself. That's where you go on a little map of rediscovering what makes you feel good. Because it's not, okay, let me tell you guys something, right? It's not all about doom and gloom, all bad, right? Once you get rid of all that stuff, what is left? The good stuff, right? So make it a habit to also, when you are doing the shadow work, you are also going to address everything that you do after you've done all of the bad stuff, the list of the bad stuff. You do the list of the good stuff. What makes you happy? What makes you smile? Right? What makes you want to do stuff? What encourages you? Who do you look up to? Who's your role model? Who do you like? Who do you follow? Right? The essence of you. Basically, these are all markings. They're like pieces. If you look at puzzle pieces, they're all puzzle pieces of you, right? They've all become you. So this is why I'm saying to you guys, it's easy to unlearn and learn a different way. So then you can go on in your spiritual journey and really understand what your purpose is, right? When you are taking action, doing these things, let me tell you something. It took me 30 days to change my life. 30 days doing shadow work and acknowledging everything, and kind of by the end of that month, guys, the other person, I was like, girl, I know you there, but we're gonna have to just get you together with me, because now I understand you. It's like having a sister. It's like having a sister, and every time she tries to peep out, you're like, oh, wait a second now. We need to have a conversation. There were many times, guys, we need to have a conversation. What are we doing? Why are we self-sabotaging again? You know what you're supposed to do. Stop. You know why you're doing this, right? So yes, when it comes to, trying not to go off, but when it comes to career and work, yes, absolutely. Understanding your purpose and where you are going in life. And also dealing with colleagues at work, I would say, because I think that's a very big thing when you're dealing with people. How can we reschedule one-on-one? On my site, there is a spiritual therapy tab. So if you press onto that one, that is the one-on-one. And the other one will be courses and classes, basically, that I'll be putting on there. Cynthia, I hope that helped. So basically, shadow work is us healing. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And you know what? You know what the best part is? When you embrace your flaws and you are alone and single, it might not make a big difference. However, when you're in a relationship, honey, when I tell you it's going to change your life, Jasmine, it's going to change your relationship. It's going to change every relationship you've ever had with people. Every relationship. Because how you react is going to completely change. It's like a new person. And for me, I learned this at 33. When I turned 33, I was like, oh my God, there's so many situations that you look back and you're like, I see why I acted like that, but that's crazy. I should have acted a different way. You will keep telling yourself off, but at the same time, seeing the comical in there. So yes, people will also embrace your flaws, but guess what? Your loved ones will embrace your flaws too, because they know that this is the essence of you, it's part of you. Scotty, don't worry. Don't worry. My life didn't even go on. Earlier. I was so mad. Something been trying to stop me today, but you know what? I thought, nah, I'm going to put it up again. We're going in. Don't worry, Kiara, you are not late. You ain't missed nothing, and the video will be saved. It will be saved so you guys can watch it later, okay? Our imagination isn't as it is as a child. So as a child, you actually have all your gifts, and you can explore those gifts with creativity, right? And you would do that by playing. Some of us would have like an imaginary friend that we used to speak to. That's all speaking to higher self. The whole time we was having that conversation, deep conversations with higher self, right? So when we change is at the age, between the ages of 6, 7, 8. And usually you would find with certain people, that is when the trauma has happened. And if it hasn't happened before, they lose their ability, right? Their gifts through trauma. You are actually blocking your gift by reliving that trauma and carrying that trauma around, guys. And this is very important to understand, because I didn't understand it until I went through it. And I was like, oh. And then it amped up my gifts, because it was like the healing catapulted me into a different level in my spiritual journey. It was different. The things that I was feeling, doing, it was almost like I knew what to do already. But it was like, oh my God, I've lived this life before. I've learned these lessons before. So what did I get wrong? So I'm going to tell you guys something, right? This time, guys, I'm here to learn. I'm in school. I'm here to learn. I'm in class with you lot. I'm in class with you lot too. And the great thing about it, when you learn these things and you become really spiritual and you're practicing, because I'm not just here telling you guys to do this. I've done this stuff myself. This is why I'm able to teach. I could never teach something I haven't done. I would never do that, because it will be a disservice to any of you that are trying to further yourselves in the spiritual world. It wouldn't be right. And I wouldn't see myself right. I believe in karma, so I wouldn't see myself right doing that. So Michelle, do you do virtual sessions? Yes, I do, April. And that would be, when did I put that up as? I'm just going to have a look, guys, because I have this on my website. I think it will be starting next month at some point. But I will put all of that in the post. I definitely will post it up. You guys will see it. if Michelle allows me to put my website on there, because I'm just mindful of putting up my website and then it becomes too much of, oh, she's plugged her website again sort of thing. So I don't want to do too much of that, because I see that it can become overwhelming for some people. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to overwhelm anyone. But yes, I will be posting those next month. Things are going to be going on in this group that you guys are going to be able to see. All things to do with shadow work and breath work, those things that I've talked about before. Also a lot of healing. I'm going to try and do some stuff on self-love as well, because that is something that I'm familiar with as well. So yeah, so shadow work therapy, if you want to book a session 101, that's ongoing, honey. Like, you don't have to wait till then. But if you wanted to do it as a class or a course, that would be from next month, I believe, and that starts in September. Okay, so from next month it will be all up on there. I've put in a couple of sessions on there, so for those of you that want to continue this series that I'm doing of the things that I've already posted, I will be continuing the rest on my website, and obviously I will drop a few gems on here too. Okay. So April, sorry, I thought that's answered your question. Would you say shadow work ever gets easier? Yeah. Much easier, because you identify it straight away. It's almost like, it becomes like breathing. You kind of just get to know yourself and you're like, oh, okay, hold on a minute, this ain't right. But it's not all bad, guys. Good stuff happens too, because you learn to actually reward yourself and you're like, oh my God, I really like the way I handled this situation, right? So don't forget, guys, when you're doing the shadow work, it's not all bad. Also reward yourself from time to time for doing good, right? For doing and acknowledging and reaching a next level of vibration, which is, you know, gone from blame, anger, frustration to actually contentment. I'm happy, passion, you know, you're going to feel good about yourself and reaching that blissful, joyful state that people get into at the very top, right? So don't forget to reward yourself, please. I would like to book you for my son. Oh, wow. Absolutely. So that's on my website, April. How do you become one with your shadow? I feel like mine is in hiding. Kiara. Trust me, there's ways to weed that out. So integrating your shadow, right? First of all, you find it, identify it. So when we did the archetype posts, have a look at those, Kiara, if you haven't already, and pick one that you identify with. And when you identify with one, you work on that one, particular one. It will have something underneath that will prompt you to work on it. Also, the questions on that post, they're very specific to the archetypes. So please go and work on those, Kiara, and you will see that it will peep out, trust me. And for those of you that are alarmed, oh my God, I got more than one, don't worry. Those could be your parents, your siblings, your friends, right? That have accumulated onto you. Because if you think of yourself a bit like a baggage carrier, that's what you do. You pick up and pick up and pick up. So for some of you, you may have more than one, and that's okay. You just basically acknowledge it, understand it, deal with it, release it, okay? Yes, it will be safe. The live will be saved, guys, so don't worry, you can always go back. Yes, of course I was waiting for you. Of course, waiting for you to always make an entrance. Trust me, Asia, I wish I had somebody else to teach me this stuff. I learned myself, guys. I really didn't have nobody else to teach me. I read loads of books. I sat there sometimes sleeping at 5 o'clock in the morning, reading this stuff, listening to podcasts, listening to other things that people were talking about shadow work. It was very insightful, very insightful. Yes, Michelle, absolutely. We do appreciate you. If I can remember, okay, Asia. Okay, if I can, okay, get those emotions out anymore. Does that mean I'm healed from it? If you can remember it. Okay, well, let's digest and unpack that a little bit. If you can remember what's happened to you as a child, did you sit there and write a letter to the person that hurt you? Did you acknowledge the pain? Did you feel the pain? Did you go back there as a child? Because I don't want you to go back there, Asia, as you now. I want you to go back there as a child. And as painful as that's going to be, because trust me, it will be painful, I need you to feel those emotions just to make sure you didn't miss anything, right? Just to make sure you really didn't miss nothing. Because sometimes it could be a slight little thing that's hiding in there, right? So you don't bring that into the present, right? So it's making sure when you're doing that shadow work that you acknowledge every emotion you have, every emotion. When are you healed from that, right? Would be the question. You are healed from that when you have forgiven your perpetrator, when you have forgiven the person that's hurt you, when you have understood in a way, right? And I have to be very careful with how I say this because I'm also a survivor. So I would say this with the most compassion in my heart. It's when you are able to let what happened to you be the lesson that you were supposed to learn, the making of you. If you identify this thing as, this has ruined my life, right? Not so much. If you really deep it, if you really, really deep it, this was the making of you. This was your wake-up call for you to now go back and work. And now it's going to catapult you on your spiritual journey, if that makes sense, Asia. Because to me, that's the sense that I made from it. It was like it had to happen so then I could move forward in life. If it didn't happen, obviously we would much rather that things like this don't happen, right? But when they do, that's a big thing. It means that your purpose was even bigger than what you thought. Because not only are you now going to be able to help people that go through the same thing, you're now going to really understand why it happened, how it happened. And then forgiveness. You forgive. Because now you're like, why do people do the things they do, guys? There's a purpose for each person. Do you know that? Each person, whether they have hurt you or not. No one's deserving of anything that happens to you as a child, especially violation. No one deserves. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it is part of your journey. So I hope that's kind of clarified. Make sure, go deep, go dig deep, girl. Make sure, because I've been there. Dig deep. So Bianca's just joined us. Jay's just joined us. So for those of you that have joined us, you can replay this. It is going to be up. You're welcome. You're so welcome. You're welcome. So yes. So what I'm going to do, since you guys brought your little notebooks, I am going to wrap it up, but I'm going to give you guys some prompts, okay, for what you can work on next until I do my next post. Your girl's very busy at the moment trying to figure out where I'm going to put you guys in and what times and stuff, but also running a business, also being a mother. You know how that goes. So what I'm going to do is definitely give you some stuff to work on until I do my posts. So then we are not kind of just hanging in the balance, right? For those that have joined us and have missed the whole questionnaire here and there, you can always replay the video. It may be that your question doesn't come up, and if that's so, I can do these lives a regular thing. So you guys I can check in on you guys, ask you how you guys are doing, how we getting on. It's a little check-in and a question session basically that I'll do with all of you, just in case for those of you that have missed it. So when it comes to shadow work, yes, please book a session. Absolutely, Asia. When it comes to shadow work, questions for beginners, right? Let's do some questions for beginners because, you know, some of us are kind of like just at the very beginning. So let's acknowledge that. So like I said, you've done your, love you too, girl. Love you too. If you've done your self-love, right? You've done your self-love because that's crucial. Remember I said that earlier. We're working on selves. We are able to apologize to self, acknowledge self, accept self, all of those good things, right? We love ourselves. And I'll be doing that with you guys as well. We then can go through with these questions, right? So I want you guys to write down, if you've got pens, paper, journal, satin, any of you that want to write stuff down. The first question I would ask would be, how do you think people see you, right? How do you think the people outside see you as a person, if you were to describe you, right? How do you feel about how they see you? So here we're searching for validation and we're searching for acknowledgement. We're searching for those things, right? We're searching for how these people judge us, right? That would be the first question. How do people think of you? Would be the first question, right? The second question, what is the very worst emotion that you have experienced personally? Now, this is obviously going to be personal to you guys. Some people are going to say, you know, grief, you know, death, obviously grief, you know, you shame, guilt, whatever it may be. Then you want to ask yourself why you feel that. And then you want to ask yourself, where does it come from? Does it come from a place of hurt? Does it come from a place of hate? Does it come from a place of resentment? Does it come from, I learned this from my mom, I learned this from my dad, I learned this from my brother, right? That's what you want to ask yourself. Then what you want to do is, what things, right? The third question, what things make you judgmental? So if you think about situations that you would be judgmental towards people, hypothetically, Facebook, you know? So situations that you would find yourself kind of just not really agreeing with someone, you know, and you would be judgmental. What things make you judgmental? What things do you go against? What is against you and your moral code, you know, as a person right now? So that would be the third question. The fourth question, when was the last time you felt let down? So if you want to examine your life right now and kind of see the things that let you down, people that let you down, you know, the emotion, everything, write it down, okay? That's question 4. And adding to that question, ask yourself if you have healthy boundaries, because that's important. When people let you down, do you have healthy boundaries? Do you have a way to deal with this, right? Do you have a way? Is there a way that you can deal with these things? Where do you go? How do you release? How do you, you know, when someone gets you angry, how do you react? I would then go through with, like, just make sure that you have boundaries with certain people. How you handle those boundaries. What boundaries do you set in place so you can go and feel that emotion? You know what I'm saying? Because it's important to feel everything. Then I would add on to that, is there any particular relationship that you feel you can benefit from by having stronger boundaries, right? Your boundaries are not going to be perfect, but you definitely need to put some in place, right? So let's start doing that with the question 4 when you ask yourself that. Question 5, explore, please. What is preventing you from having courage, right, to hold that space, your boundaries, right? Can you say with complete honesty that you respect the boundaries of other people? So ask that question to yourself. So we go on to number 6. List out your core values. Are you living in alignment right now? First of all, that's the first question, right? Core values. Am I living in my alignment right now? my purpose, what I'm supposed to be doing. It's important, right? It's very, very important to do that. Understand it. Awareness. And also self-discovery that comes under, right? Because you need to understand your purpose and then you can act on it, right? So what could you change or what could you do in order to become aligned with your purpose? Aligned with what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to, your sole purpose. Because all of us are here for something, like I said earlier. There's a reason why we're here. So, are we in alignment with that? So, number 8. This one got me, I'm not gonna lie. This one. Does that alignment match those of your parents? Now, the reason this one got me is because of the generational curse that I told you a lot about, right? That you need to break. That you're the one that's going to break this generational curse, remember? You're the one that's doing the shadow work. So you're going to break your generational curse. So ask yourself, are your parents in alignment with that too or not? Right? If not, explore it, understand it, be in a moment with it. Feel the emotion, release it. Don't hold on to it. But please understand that all of these questions are basically gauging you to feel some sort of emotion. And that's what we're here for with the shadow work, right? So the next question, what do you wish, this is number 8. What do you wish people understood about you? So for some of us that feel misunderstood and disassociated, what do you wish that people knew about you growing up, or understood about you? That obviously, maybe you were very talented or, things of that nature, basically. Number 9, what makes you feel empty? Bianca, you can release it through journaling, dancing. You can release it, there's many ways. Meditation. You could also do some breath work, which is great. So yes, so basically number 9 is what makes you feel empty. How do you tend to fill your void? We've all been there. I mean, mine is shopping, I'm not gonna lie, I shop, so mine is shopping. And then also you want to ask yourself, what are some healthy boundaries and strategies that you might develop to overcome these feelings of emptiness? So if you're feeling empty and you're going to go out and buy clothes, shoes, bags, whatever, that is also not good, because now you're creating an addictive personality trait, right? You've now got an addictive shadow roaming around, right? So we also need to be mindful. And as you see through these questions, you need to be mindful of emotions that come, right? So finally, number 10. Who has the most influence over you? Ask yourself, is it healthy? Do you envy them? That one's kind of simple. That one's kind of simple, okay? So just understand it. Understand it in deep what I'm asking. But yes, who has the most influence over you? Is it healthy? Do you envy them? Right? And ask honestly, okay? So with that question, you want to piggyback, obviously. How might you work towards gaining the things that you feel you don't have, right? Because it's about you, projection that we're doing, a mirror, right? So it's basically you're learning to teach yourself again, rewiring your brain again to understand where the emotion comes from, to hold on to it, to feel it, be in the moment, be present, and release, right? How do I stop negative people from interrupting my peace every time I get to a good place? Sometimes, let me just pop. So I get, it happens to take me back. Nisha, you would definitely address your shadow, okay? So we're at the moment of emotion, like the chart. So if you weren't here earlier, but I showed the chart, and obviously you've got low vibrational attitudes and you've got higher vibration attitudes, right? In your chart, it makes you feel petty, it makes you feel like, you know, I'm triggered. Oh, I want to say something, I want to act out, right? So we're doing that, guys. If you are in that state of, I want to just scream, I want to shout, analyze the feeling that you're having, because the feeling that you're having is backed up by emotion, right? So we go back to that emotion. Where does that emotion come from? What's triggered you, right? Think back to a time that you were triggered by the same emotion, because it's all linked together. All linked together. So we address that shadow of emotion. If it's anger, we need to know where that anger comes from. And most likely it comes from your childhood. Again, we're going back, okay? So we're going to go all the way back. We're going to go all the way back as you can remember. By asking these prompt questions, you will get there. You will get there and be like, oh, I remember the time that, boom, that's it. That's the trigger, because it's the first thing that you're going to remember. Yes, your brain has suppressed it through the years, but the shadow work brings it out. I hope that makes sense. But you can really, once you gain control over that emotion, you've got this. Trust me, you've got this. And every time it will test you. Trust me. I don't know who sends these people, but sometimes people be testing you. People be testing you, and it's on purpose. It's almost like the universe sort of sends them anyway, just to see if you're healed, if you've moved on, if you were supposed to do the work that you were supposed to do, you've done it. You know what I mean? So, Nisha, I hope that helps the answer, but you will get there. Trust me, you will get there. It's just having that control. It's very easy to have once you kind of prompt the shadow work and integrate it into you. Right? You understand this another person basically in you, living inside of you, right? With a lot of resentment and anger and triggering. So we need to acknowledge this person, massage this person, get to know this person, if that makes sense. So Bianca, I hope that made sense, Nisha, sorry. I have extreme memory issues, and I have things that trigger me. As I'm explaining what it is, I have a tendency to forget. So you've hid your shadow. That's what you've done. You've hid your shadow away. So when you hide your shadow, we need to go and get it. So again, I would say, Bianca, have a look at my post that I've posted before to do with the archetypes. And if you press on my name, and it should go onto my post, go and identify yourself with an archetype, please. And then work through the questions with the archetype. I hope that helps, okay? Because then you will be able to kind of identify the triggering. Oh, Nikki, it's okay. Listen, we all backslide. Don't even worry. Please don't worry. We've all been there. We all backslide. It's fine. It's fine. I've been there many times. Trust me, I've been there where I'm just like, nope, not doing it. And then I realize why. It's like, oh, really? And then, like I said, retrograde always reminds me, have you done your work, bitch? And I'm like, I thought I did, but obviously I haven't, because it's triggered me again. Like, so retrograde will remind you, but Nikki, retrograde will remind you, have you done your work? Because this is, remember that retrograde is a time that the communications is messed up, right? It's a time for solace. It's a time for you to reflect and do some work. So I would use that time, that period, for retrograde to do your shadow work even more, because you're isolated from the world. You obviously, everyone's getting on your nerves. You're being triggered. So you're being reminded yet again every time about the work that you need to do. Nikki, I hope that helped. Bianca, it's just a response. It's a psychological response to trauma. That's all. Oh. You're welcome, Nikki. You're welcome. Something else. I'm so closely tuned into my shadow. I just need to do the work. Absolutely. No, don't worry. So, Benaya, sorry, I don't want to butcher your name. Benaya, it's saved. It's going to be saved, guys. So don't worry. You'll be able to rewatch it and watch what was said before. It's not going anywhere. I'm going to save it, okay? So, those 10 questions, guys. We need to crack on with those 10 questions, okay? I'm not going to give you any more. I could have given you 15, but I'm actually just going to give you 10. I might post a few more questions later on in the series, but I thought I'd just let you guys just identify with those questions at first, just give you a bit of homework, if that makes sense. So you guys can kind of work through until I come up with the course. The course is in September, guys. So, I mean, you ain't got long. I mean, you got like a couple of, 2 weeks left. And literally the course will be up for those of you that want to join. How is your inner self and your inner child differ? That is a very good question. Very nice question. And the shadow work heals both. It does heal both. So your inner self is the self that you hide from the world, right? And your inner child is your child self, right? It's two different things. So your inner self is the one in the present day that you don't show to anyone. And your inner child is the one that got left there when your parents were looking after you, right? And you then grew into a teenager and you became you, who is now, right? All of those need to be basically addressed, because if they are not addressed, what they do is they fuse into one. And now we've got a bratty teenager with attitude issues and problems, right? And like I was saying before, when we've got some children are just that way because it's hormones, but some children, real trauma's there, the real shadow's there. It needs to be unpacked and released. So those two, yes, absolutely, you can heal both of them. And there is a difference. They're both very different. Your inner child usually is quite creative, quite funny, it's the person that you were before you became an adult. And then your inner self is the one that you hide from the world right now. Two different things, okay? I hope that's answered your question. Oh, don't worry, Bianca. Listen, you will get it. You will get it. You got this, sis. Trust me, you got this. And like for all of you, you've got this. You've got this. You've got someone holding your hand. I'm here now. I'm here now. Okay, guys, I'm here. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. But what I need you guys to do is just work on this. I would say never do shadow work when you're tired. Please do it when you're awake, when you're aware, so then you're able to discover yourself even more. If I was to give you guys any advice, please make sure you look after yourselves. Do some healing, do some self-love rituals, please. That's important that you take care of self before you even go on to do these things, because these things can be quite traumatic for some of you. And, you know, we don't need you guys to be suffering with mental health issues, coming back to the group, oh my God, I'm depressed because I did the shadow work. No, none of that, okay? We're going to address every single piece. Do it when you're ready. Don't let nobody force you. When you are ready, do it, okay? No one's going to force you. We can hold your hand through it. I say me. I will hold your hand through it, okay? But I need you guys to make sure that you are in the right set of mind, please. We are not here to cause you any more harm. So let's work together on getting there. When it comes to self-love, I will be posting some stuff on there too. I think for now, I just kind of focused on shadow work for you guys, but I will be doing that just so we make sure that everyone's mental clarity is good, mental health is good, checking in, making sure that everyone is doing the right thing and no one is suffering. Should any of you be suffering, you could always reach out to any of us. Obviously, we've got our websites up. You need bookings, you need readings, you need whatever you need, it's there, okay? Like I said, you know, if you don't ask, you don't get, guys. Let's do it, okay? Let's make sure that we ask for help. Don't ever be afraid to ask for help. Don't be embarrassed. We've all been through it, okay? We're going through it. We're all learning together. We're in class together. No one is better than anybody else. Just because I've experienced these things does not make me any better than you guys. I can go outside and fuck up on my shadow work. Trust me on that, okay? It's an ongoing process. But for now, I'm gonna say bye. I know I have to leave because I actually have a client. But let me tell you guys something. This has been very rewarding to me, even though I haven't heard your voices, but I've seen the stuff that you've wrote. I've enjoyed it. And I'm going to keep doing this, checking in with you guys, making sure that you guys are okay. Should you need any of my services, they are up. I'm going to put my website up also. It is in the video. So if you guys don't see it in the video, for those that came late, I will plug it somewhere. So you will always see it. If not, obviously, you can always type it into the browser. I do have a schedule that I'm going to open up for you guys during the next month, so you'd be able to book should you need to. Okay, you're not alone, remember that, please, all of you, you're not alone. You're doing this with someone, okay, that's been doing it for a while. I've been doing it for a hot minute. 12 years is a long time, but this is what I'm saying. It's a process and it's ongoing, and I probably need to go and do some shadow work too after this. So it's not, no one is better than anybody else. But I'm very grateful, Michelle. I'm very grateful for having me. Honestly, I'm very grateful that I'm able to feel my purpose, because this is what I was supposed to do, guys. But yeah, until the next live, guys, I will check in on you guys in the meantime and just do some posts. Feel free to comment and obviously share, tag people that need it, please. That's what I'm here for, is I'm here to help, and inbox me basically. But until then, guys, please go and answer those questions. Get back to me if you get stuck with anything, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.